Please rise for the processional and remain standing for the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare bursting in air gave proof through the night was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Good morning and welcome to the third commencement for WGU Indiana. Thank you for putting up with a little bit of road closure and parking garage dilemma this morning. We're thrilled to have you here. You know, today is the best day of our year at WGU Indiana, and there are two groups who make it so. First, our students, soon to be recognized as graduates. You are each amazing. We know your stories. You went to school while you worked. You cared for your family, you volunteered, you accomplished the goal you set out to accomplish. I think the only thing maybe you didn't do was sleep. You make today great. The second group that makes today great is our WGU Indiana team. Our board members, thank you for being here today. Our enrollment counselors who help get our students in the door. And then on each side of the platform today are our faculty, our mentors, who do such a great job of helping our students. Every student at WGU Indiana is partnered with a mentor, and they help them. The students tell me they're their coach, they're their ambassador, their cheerleader, their faculty member. Somebody yesterday said, you know what you ought to tell people is that they kick you in the backside when you need it. And I told him I didn't think I could put that in a marketing brochure. But I understood the point. And so thank you to our faculty members who also make this team work and who make today our best day. You know, when we started WGU Indiana just 2.5 years ago, we had great support from our governor, Governor Daniels. But equal to his support was the support we received from our speaker today. Teresa Lubbers is the Indiana Commissioner for Higher Ed. Before she had that position, she served in our state Senate, and she's had a great career, but it started in the classroom, which means Teresa understands the power of education. Teresa, in her role as commissioner, has worked hard in our state to make sure that people have access to higher education. Not only has she identified problems, she's created policy and solutions to make it better for adults of all ages in Indiana to have access to higher education. But I'll tell you something about Teresa. She has a sweet spot in her heart for our students. And she understands what you've done and what you've accomplished. And that's why it is really my privilege and honor to introduce to you our friend, Commissioner Lubbers.
Good morning. I know you are as excited as I am to be here this morning to celebrate with the graduates. I have to make a couple comments about both Dr. Mendenhall and Allison Barber. You have some extraordinary leaders telling the WGU story in Indiana and throughout the nation. And the WGU story has not only transformed the lives of the graduates here today and those who preceded you, but it is really transforming higher education throughout our nation by really looking at the needs and building a student-centered system of higher education. And that is not the way we thought about higher education in the past. So I want to just take a moment to thank Dr. Mendenhall for his vision and leadership, and then to thank Allison as well. You know, I've watched Allison disarm legislators and other groups with her intelligence and her gracious way of explaining the WGU story. They come into the room all prepared to think there must be something wrong with this, and she very graciously and with intelligence and wisdom walks through, answers their questions, and they're sort of befuddled at the end because they no longer have any opposition. And she has managed to convert them to supporters of WGU as well. And so, and of course, as she does that, she always reminds them that the most important thing that she's doing is helping to transform the lives of Hoosiers, and that's who you represent today. I've had the privilege of being at all three commencements from the very beginning, when I believe we had 7 graduates, to 24, to now over 300 graduates that are a part of this class. That is a remarkable story. And when we look at meeting the needs for the state of Indiana, we have a 60% goal, and that is that we would have 60% of Hoosiers with post-secondary credentials. That's workforce credentials, certificates, associate degrees, bachelor's degrees, and beyond. And to tell you the reach that we have and how ambitious that goal is, we're currently at 33%. And we haven't, as a nation or a state, significantly moved that number in 4 decades. And so at the time when we know we need more people with post-secondary credentials, we have a goal, and we know that the only way of reaching that goal is to embrace all options, and WGU Indiana is clearly at the top of that list. But we're here today to honor the graduates, to honor their efforts, their sacrifices. Allison made some comment about the composition of this group. I've had a chance to read a little bit about your stories, read some of your quotes about this experience, so I have a sense of a flavor of what kind of sacrifices you have made. But I'd also like to speak to the people behind the graduates, the families, the children, the friends, the people who have helped you on this journey, because it was with their help that you were able to help realize your dreams, and you didn't do it alone, did you? And so I celebrate with you and with the families and friends who are here today. You know, commencement speeches really should be about the graduates, but if you've had a chance to attend very many commencement addresses, they're often about the person who's speaking, and he or she tells you, what they've learned in their life. I'd really prefer this to be about you, because this really has little to do with the speaker and everything to do with the graduates. As I said, I've read some of your stories, I've heard some of the quotes. You've used words like second chance, freedom and control, a way to set a good example for my children, the support system that I needed to go back to school. I've learned a little bit about your personal stories. Many of you are first in your family to go to college. I was as well, and it's made all the difference in my life. You're balancing family, life, and work, and school. Many of you have persevered in tackling some challenges along the way, but you've showed determination and an understanding that education is the way forward. For some of you, this may actually signal the beginning of a new career. Good for you. For others, you will have the chance to move up in a current job or use that in a new way. It may well be a time of transition and change for you. And it may be that you went back to WGU out of necessity. You may have lost a job. You may have been stuck where you are and couldn't take the next step that you wanted to take. And so out of necessity, you found WGU, and you saw this as an opportunity to improve your life and the life of your family as well. So you may have done it out of necessity. Others of you may have done it out of a sense of opportunity, and you realize that this may be an opportunity for you to change your life, the course of your life. We need to look no further than the Great Recession of 2008 to understand the scope of changes that people have made in their life to address economic crisis. People have made huge sacrifices to go back to school, to reinvent themselves in the job market. And that's probably why many of you went to WGU, because you needed new skills and because you wanted new opportunities. The need to increase the educational attainment of Hoosiers and Americans has never been clearer than it is today. I didn't know that I would live long enough to time when the first question in presidential debates would be about college, that gubernatorial debates would include questions about college, that Time magazine, again, only this week came out with their cover story about college and college costs. I've talked to a few legislators who are running for office, and in their surveys, in an open-ended question, for the first time, college costs and college actually came in as one of the top 3 issues. That has never been the case before. And that's why WGU is so important, because it not only provides access that many of these candidates and articles are talking about, but it provides an affordable opportunity to go back to college as well, and that's critically important. It's important for reinventing Indiana's economy, and it's important for the individual, because the prospects for being undereducated in this nation are very poor. If it really truly is beginning to divide in more vivid ways than ever the haves from the have-nots. In August, just this past August, a report came out from the Georgetown Center on Workforce and Education, and it outlined some pretty sobering statistics. In the past year, 1 in 4 young high school graduates was unemployed, and over half were underemployed. In the past decade, the wages of recent high school graduates have fallen by 12%, and in Indiana, that's even higher because of our emphasis on manufacturing and the loss of manufacturing jobs. These are especially sobering statistics for Indiana, where we rank 3rd in the nation of people who have a high school diploma or less. Now, let me make a comment, because many of you in the audience that may be your situation. It was the situation for many of the people who I grew up with as well. And what we have to be able to do is set aside our own personal experiences and what the economy was like when we were growing up with what the economy is like in the 21st century. In a knowledge-based economy where having some post-secondary education is critically important. Measured again by unemployment. 4 out of 5 of the jobs that have been lost post-2008 were held by people who had a high school diploma or less. And many of those jobs are not coming back. So while workers who have completed college who have fared much better, and I will say, even people coming out of college are struggling many times as well. But the reality is, the struggle is not near as dramatic. The unemployment rate is half, and the opportunity for a job is much greater. So if you're a betting person, put your bet on education beyond high school. The good news is that you understood what those numbers meant. You returned to school, and in doing so, you increase the likelihood that you would have a better life for yourself and your family. I like the way Bill Gates put it. He said, in these circumstances, a crisis can work as a pivot. It can give us the traction to start something new and better. You may feel that you're in the midst of your own life's pivot right now, embarking on something new. Helping more Hoosiers do what you have done, complete college, and be successful, is the cornerstone of the work at the Commission for Higher Education and the work that I have the privilege to do every day. And we are very grateful to include WGU Indiana as a partner in this important work. As I mentioned before, we can't reach the state's goals without WGU and other options that are really catering to the needs of adult students. As one of the ways we're doing this is to look at what the adult student looks like, understanding that only 1 in 5 will ever live on a college campus who have a post-secondary experience, that many will be adults, first generation, low income, balancing life and family, and that for that 70% or 80% of the population, we need to reinvent higher education to meet their needs. These students look a lot like you. And that's why it's imperative that we meet these changing needs, and why WGU is so important in Indiana. It was just announced, as I know you know, that WGU Indiana hit a milestone of 3,000 students. Remarkable in less than 3 years. On a personal level, those numbers are important because it means that the students who are in that number have found a way to build on their education and have a new credential. For the state, it means that these individuals will help us meet our workforce needs. It's why our public officials, like Governor Daniels, and employers throughout the state have been enthusiastic supporters of the WGU model. So what does that all mean to you as you graduate into a world that is changing so dramatically that it's hard to even anticipate what it's going to look like? First, it means that education matters. But I'd also like to make a comment about something that's not just about education. You know, why do we go back to school? Why do we get an education? Is it just to have a credential? Or is it to improve our lives, our communities, the life of the state, to use that education in a meaningful, important way? Because all of us want to be contributors to society as well. And education is one of the ways we do that. You've shown a willingness to embrace this change and new possibilities. But in the midst of all these changes that are happening around us, I think it's also important to remember that we need to have a moral compass as well. We need to know why it is that we believe what we believe, and why it is that we want to do the things that we do. And just like a compass, you know, is a consistent indicator of direction, our moral compass is what really provides the framework for us and for our decisions and our life. So knowing what we believe, using our education, will keep us grounded when the world all around us shifts, and you can be guaranteed that the world will shift. Throughout the history of this world, there have been times of great changes, and I think it's safe to say we are in the midst of one of those right now. But as Ralph Waldo Emerson said in The American Scholar, and this was in the 19th century, he said, if there is any period one would desire to be born in, is it not the age of revolution, when the old and the new stand side by side and admit of being compared, when the energies of all men are searched by fear and by hope, when the historic glories of the old can be compensated by the rich possibilities of the new era. This time, like all times, is a very good one if we but know what to do with it. And I think you better know what to do with it now than ever before. You have a clearer sense of moving forward and embracing the rich possibilities that are before you because of your education at WGU Indiana. Again, my congratulations to each of you, to your families, as you experience the benefits of this education for yourselves, your families, and your communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. And now you'll be able to hear from 4 of our students, graduates, as they come up and tell you their story.
Commissioner Lubbers, President Mendenhall, Provost Leisure, Chancellor Barber, my fellow graduates, WGU staff, and all of our honored guests. My WGU journey actually began in 1981 before there even was a Western Governors University. I had recently completed my associate degree in nursing from Purdue Calumet, and I knew I wanted a bachelor's degree, but life got in my way. Just a few weeks after I completed my associate degree in 1980, my husband lost his job, and I had to return to work full-time. Between a newborn and my first job as a registered nurse, there was no time to return to school. Work got in my way. As is typical with many hospital-based nurses, in the last 30 years, I have not had the same days off in 2 consecutive weeks. So the prospect of finding a good way to attend a brick-and-mortar school was not so good. Money got in the way. In the intervening years, we had 4 relatively expensive children, and the desire to send our children to college without borrowing money, as my husband and I had attended college without borrowing money. There was no way on this earth I was borrowing money to finance my degree. Fast forward to March 17th, 2010, my 55th birthday. In 3 more years, I was going to turn 58, regardless of whether I returned to school or not. And on that day, I decided I could either turn 58 with that bachelor's degree or without it, and the choice was mine. I spent the spring and summer looking for the right school, a school I could afford without debt, a school that would fit my irregular night shift schedule and would give me credit for what I had already mastered in 30 years of nursing practice. And then I found it. I found WGU. Here's how behind the times I was. When I started my bachelor's program on September 1st, 2010, the only cut and paste I had ever done was with little left-handed scissors and actual paste. Needless to say, the learning curve was kind of sharp, and I was reduced to paying one of my children $5 to format a chart for me at one time. I'm not proud of that. But because WGU measures competency and not seat time in a classroom, I was able to complete my long-delayed Bachelor's of Science degree in nursing on February 25th, 2011. I was still 55, and I had conquered the coursework required of a 21st century nurse: informatics, nursing theory, healthcare policy and finance, global health, evidence-based practice, and much, much, much more. My success in the bachelor's program awakened a desire in me to, if I can borrow a phrase, go further. So 5 weeks later, I took a leap of faith and enrolled in the Master's of Science in Nursing Education Specialist program. The next day, my newly earned BSN helped me get hired as a staff nurse in the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit at Peyton Manning Children's Hospital, a magnet status hospital that prefers BSN grads to fill their critical care needs. On May 5th, 2011, 10 months before my 58th birthday, I had completed my master's degree in nursing. For my capstone project, I served as principal investigator for a research project examining how night shift nurses learn to adapt to circadian disruption. My program of study was rigorous and thoroughly prepared me for the role of nurse researcher and educator. Just last week, I was notified that I won a hospital-wide competition for nurses in the St. Vincent system, and I've been awarded a full funding grant to undertake a new research project that will examine what attributes define a night shift-friendly hospital. This project has the potential to impact the health, satisfaction, and safety of not only every night shift worker employed in the St. Vincent system, but more importantly, the patients that we care for. I have so many people to thank. This is the part where it's going to get awkward. My father, Ray Lawson, my late mother, Jean Lawson, my Uncle Bob Telfer, who in 1972 told me I was definitely college material and encouraged me to become the first person in my family to attend college, my husband, David, my 4 children, Sarah, Rosie, Ben, and Kathleen, my son-in-law, Robert, and my grandson, Brandon, the many people who make up Peyton Manning Children's Hospital at St. Vincent, my wonderful student mentor, Annette Sawyers, hiding in the corner, course mentor Brenda Luther, as well as Christy and Ginger from WGU's Public Relations team, President Mendenhall, Chancellor Barber, and Governor Daniels, who's not here today. As the faces of WGU and WGU Indiana and representative of all of WGU's employees and staff, you have paved the way for my education and made my degree high quality, recognized, and accepted in every venue to which it has been applied. And now I have come full circle. My fellow graduates, cue the Darth Vader theme. On October 1st, I began working for TaskStream. I see that some of you in the audience are familiar with TaskStream. So here's what I want to leave for the rest of you, the ones that are not wearing a cap and gown today. If this computer-naive 57-year-old grandmother with the eco-friendly, all-natural, organic highlights in her hair can earn 2 degrees in 18 months for under $10,000 from home, devoting no more time than some of you spend on Facebook, Pinterest, or World of Warcraft. If I can do this, then so can you. You can go further. Thank you.
That's a tough act to follow. I have to say that. I just want to thank the faculty and staff for giving me the opportunity to graduate from WGU. Back whenever I started my education, somebody came to me and asked, at my age, and I'm not going to tell you how old that is, why did I want to go back and get my degree? My response to them is that I've been through a lot of things in my life. The hardest being kicking cancer 10 years ago. I'm a 10-year survivor this year. Thank you. This is something I wanted to do for myself. All my life I've looked and helped others. When I started my life, I had my first child at 23 and a son, which right now is in Georgia and couldn't be here, unfortunately. I had my second son at 25, and he's here with me. I had my daughter at 28, and she's here as well. Throughout their elementary and high school lives, they were very active, and I was there at every facet. They did not have mom sitting at home. When I was diagnosed with stage 3B inflammatory breast cancer in 2002, life as I know it changed. I had a survival rate of 20%. My oncologist, Dr. Kathy Miller, from the Indiana University Cancer Center, right here in Indianapolis, told me I could kick this, that I would basically be dancing on the tabletops at her retirement party. But I would need to realize that I would have to be slowed down and that I would miss some of my children's games and events, because in speaking with me, she realized how active I was. And as she walked out of the room, I looked at my family and I said, She doesn't know me very well, does she? So with pure determination and grit, I'm proud to say I missed one game, and that's when I had surgery, and it was unavoidable. With that type of determination, I decided it was time to do something for me. My kids were graduated, or almost graduated, and it was time for me to focus on me. I obtained my business management associates in 1985. Yeah, that's a long time ago. Don't be doing the math. My family was very supportive in going back to school. I graduated in February of this year from WGU, just a mere year and a half after I enrolled. WGU enabled me to do something I had put off for years. I did this for me, to show everyone that no matter what life throws at you, you can obtain what you want. And through sheer determination and grit, I did. I stand here before you as a graduate of WGU. My family is here with me today to help me celebrate obtaining my Bachelor's of Science in Business Management. The last words I will leave with you today are, no feat is too big to be conquered. Take life as it comes and embrace and do what is best for you. Congratulations to my fellow graduates of WGU. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Warren Guest, and I'm from Richmond, Indiana. Before I start, I would like to give thanks to the bipartisan group of governors who founded WGU and the distinguished members of WGU's Board of Trustees. I would also like to thank Governor Mitch Daniels and state legislators for their foresight, dedication, and courage to make WGU Indiana a state university in 2010. Finally, I would like to thank my undergraduate mentor, Harry Prokupchik, for his flexibility, my future mother-in-law, Cindy, for her understanding and financial support, and most importantly, my soon-to-be wife, Julie, for her unwavering encouragement, support, and sharing of a vision for our family's future. Even though Harry, Cindy, and Julie were my exclusive support on this journey, each one of you had similar individuals in your own corner. Those individuals, along with the WGU organization, will forever be tied to our success in the future and deserve our thanks and a big round of applause. Graduates, today I'm going to talk about a concept that will help you move forward in life. That concept is one that says an education will help everyone around you. An education is more than just a way to get a promotion or land that dream job. An education allows you, your family, and future descendants to escape poverty, become productive members in society, and live out hopes, dreams, and aspirations to the fullest. For a deeper understanding of this concept and why this day is so important to me, I want to share with you my journey up to this very moment. Imagine a boy born to parents living in poverty with education levels no higher than the 8th grade. Imagine him at age 10 visiting 2 brothers in prison twice a year, having no other male figures in the household, and making enemies faster than friends just because he talked differently. Imagine him living with his friend's family rather than his own at 14, doing roofing labor for his own rent and bill money at 16, or dropping out of high school to work construction and maintenance at 17. Fast forward and imagine him at age 25, with no job, no money, no direction, no purpose, no support, no future, and no resources to change the situation. In past years, the life you just imagined was my excuse for every failure I allowed to happen. But in 2008, those excuses came to a stop, and I decided to take control of my own future. So I enrolled in St. Clair Community College, and in June of 2010, graduated with 2 degrees. That same year, I enrolled in WGU Indiana, and 2.5 terms later, completed a Bachelor's of Accounting degree. 26 days later, I enrolled in my MBA degree, finished my first term 30 days early, and just started my second term 20 days ago. Make no mistake about it. I am proud to stand with you today as a WGU Indiana graduate. Yet I am more honored to have been a guest speaker to so many others. I congratulate all of you on your graduation and future success, and wish the best for you and your families as you move forward in your careers and personal lives. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rachel Overberg from Sellersburg, Indiana. It's a pleasure and an honor to share my journey of earning a bachelor's degree at WGU with my classmates, faculty, and alumni today. 6 years ago, I was newly divorced, a single mom, and a survivor of domestic violence. I had fled a home with furniture, a yard, swimming pool, and was starting all over in an apartment with only a bed and 2 lawn chairs. Although I had a full-time job, which was in the travel industry, I noticed that industry was quickly changing. I saw it would not be long before the position I held would no longer be necessary. As I pondered the future of my life and the life of my child, I knew that it was important that I return to college. I remember having a desire to teach since I was in the 1st grade, and that desire never left my heart. I began searching for a university to attend so I could obtain a bachelor's degree in elementary education. I quickly realized, though, that attending a traditional brick-and-mortar school would not accommodate my needs. Reluctantly, I put my dream on hold another year. Then, by chance, I came across a website for WGU, and I called to get more information and did some research, and I realized this was the university for me. It was affordable, flexible, and offered an accredited teaching degree. During my time at WGU, I always received a lot of support. Not only was my mentor diligent about keeping me on track for academic success, she went above and beyond her job requirements and listened to my life struggles. In addition to working a full-time job and going to school full-time, being a single mom, my son was often sick with allergies and asthma, which led to several doctor's appointments and even surgeries. I had no family living in the area near me to help during those times. As I would relay this to my mentor, she would always remind me to take one day at a time, one assessment at a time. The support and understanding of my WGU mentor, Sally Peterson, was vital to my success. Due to the flexibility that WGU offered, I was able to get up at 4 a.m. to do my schoolwork for a couple hours before going to work each day. At times I wondered if I was the only one awake in the city. But around 5 a.m. when the birds started chirping, I didn't feel so alone. Doing my schoolwork on this schedule allowed me to spend evenings with my son at scouts, football, math bowl, and other activities. However, it wasn't unusual to see me carrying around resources and a laptop wherever I went. I'm sure many of you can relate to this. While waiting in a doctor's office or waiting for an activity to begin, I would quickly plug into WGU and do schoolwork. The flexibility of attending WGU allowed me to be a student on the go. This was another vital quality that led to my success. Now, 4.5 years later, I'm standing here with a lifelong dream fulfilled. Sorry. I have a bachelor's degree in teaching, and I have my own 5th grade classroom. I want to say thank you to those who cheered me on and encouraged me. Connie Benson with Hoosier Hills PAC, Liz Hutaub, Women's Independent Scholarship Program, all my dear friends and past co-workers at Kindred, friends which include Tess and Wendy, my brother Jason, my mother and family, my host teacher, Miss McKinley, and my biggest cheerleader, my son Calvin. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Thank you, students. Each story is special, and we congratulate all of you on your success. Would the candidates for master's degrees please rise? Upon the favorable recommendation of our faculty and the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees and our member governors of Western Governors University, it is my privilege to confer upon you the master's degree you have earned with all the rights and privileges thereto appertaining. Congratulations. We'll ask the first row to please come forward for your hood, and you will be receiving your hood from our provost, Dr. David Leisure.
Mary Carney, Lebanon, Indiana. Cynthia Kent, Indianapolis, Indiana. Barbara Weinbar, Noblesville, Indiana. Kyla Gross, Rockport, Indiana. Lori Billingsley Hayes, Rising Sun, Indiana. Barbara Lewis, Auburn, Indiana. Dorothy Bars, Auburn, Indiana. Seth Slater, Columbia City, Indiana. Carol Cron, Brownsburg, Indiana. Melinda McDougall, Avon, Indiana. Cindy Barber, Couts, Indiana. Michaela Burleson, Fishers, Indiana. Joseph Cooper, Ingalls, Indiana. Philip Gherkin, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Christopher Hartick, Noblesville, Indiana. Huffman, Ellettsville, Indiana. Stephen Johnson, Indianapolis, Indiana. Peggy Martelli, Kokomo, Indiana. Sherry McNett, Muncie, Indiana. Lisa Meadows, Avon, Indiana. Susanna Miles, North Salem, Indiana. James Smithson, Gas City, Indiana. Diane Vowland, Batesville, Indiana. Cherie Wagner, Brownsburg, Indiana. Gwendolyn Winderlish, Indianapolis, Indiana. Wing Yi Alderson, Brownsburg, Indiana. Kirsten Battershell, Columbia City, Indiana. Wendy Booker, Westfield, Indiana. Mike Carr, Roanoke, Indiana. Tel Rye George, Brownsburg, Indiana. Janine Oberly, Monroeville, Indiana. Gerald Smith, Chesterton, Indiana. Tracy Sweet, Greenfield, Indiana. Amanda Tanner, Indianapolis, Indiana. Jonathan West, Evansville, Indiana. Carla Zahowdy, Carmel, Indiana. Carrie Witt, Jasper, Indiana. Linda Hathaway, Woodburn, Indiana. Felicia Weber, Elizabeth, Indiana. Michelle Weiss, Carmel, Indiana. Crystal Wiles, Indianapolis, Indiana. Alicia Garver, Shelbyville, Indiana. Autumn Callahan, Monroe, Indiana. Nagendra Palangar, Evansville, Indiana.
Would the candidates for bachelor's degrees please rise? And upon the favorable recommendation of our faculty and the power vetted in me through our Board of Trustees and the member governors of WGU Indiana, I hereby confer upon you the bachelor's degree that you have earned with all the rights and privileges thereto appertaining. You may now move your tassel from the right to the left. Congratulations, and we'll ask that the first row come forward to receive your degree.
LaDawn White, Mishawaka, Indiana. Sheena Spear, Halton, Indiana. Sherry Johnston, Frankfort, Indiana. Katrina Shriver, Indianapolis, Indiana. Renee Sobas, Indianapolis, Indiana. Stacy Brown, Trafalgar, Indiana. Christopher DeVore, Indianapolis, Indiana. Jeanette Langford, Avon, Indiana. Carrie Martin, Fort Branch, Indiana. Scott McCrindle, Goshen, Indiana. Christopher McDaniel, Boonville, Indiana. Larry Pitts, Fishers, Indiana. Kay Sovine, New Haven, Indiana. Catherine Fleenor, Louisville, Indiana. Jennifer Taylor, Evansville, Indiana. Kimberly Trigg, Hunterton, Indiana. Kimberly Zachary, Sheridan, Indiana. Nikki McLaughlin, Evansville, Indiana. Margaret Baker, Bloomington, Indiana. Margaret Bogus, Indianapolis, Indiana. Adam Fisher, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Lakeisha Hairston, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Erica Joyner, Carmel, Indiana. Melissa O'Connell, Shelbyville, Indiana. Tammy Phillips, Greensburg, Indiana. Anna Schaefer, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Crystal Wakefield, Fort Wayne, Indiana. James Wright II, Lafayette, Indiana. Connie Wurzelo, Lowell, Indiana. Patrick Layden, Indianapolis, Indiana. Beth Hauser, Rome, Indiana. Warren Guess, Richmond, Indiana. Rachel Overberg, Sellersburg, Indiana.
How about one more round of applause for these graduates? Each of you have stories like those of our four speakers. We wish we had time to hear from each of you, but we're grateful for the opportunity to celebrate this unique and wonderful achievement in your lives and extend to you our congratulations for your diligent work in proving your competencies and graduating from WGU. I wish now to welcome graduates into our Alumni Association. You're now alumni, and we look forward to continuing to communicate with you and following your careers and successes as you move through life. We'd like to invite the graduates, if they would like, to stand and to turn to their families and mentors and to give thanks to those who supported you in this achievement. We call this ceremony commencement because it is a beginning and not an end. And we know that you will now take the additional education and experiences which you've received and use that to better your lives and the lives of those around you and in your communities. And we look forward to following that and being a part of that. We thank all those in attendance. We are grateful for our faculty and staff at WGU Indiana who do so much to assist these students. And we'd ask now for the audience to stand for the recessional. Thank you very much.